If you look at the background, look at the cars on the street and stuff, what do you notice? Today we're talking glass from Freewell. Now I've made a ton of videos talking about ND filters and PL filters. I'm going to link them in the description section and in cards that you'll see pop up here in your screen as well. The glass that I'm showing you today is specifically made for the Mavic 3 Classic. However, understand that Freewell filters are typically more affordable compared to the standard DJI filters. And not only that, but they also make these same filters for the original Mavic 3, as well as the Mini 3, the Mini 2, the Air 2S, and pretty much every popular drone out there. They also make UV filters. If you're a Patreon, hit me up. I'll give you this UV filter. Or how about this ND 1000? I'll give you this ND 1000 as well. If you want, just first Patreon to message me asking me for one of these individual filters. And Freewell also makes light pollution filters. Light pollution shows itself a lot at night, and this will help to cut it or reduce it. So yeah, if you're a Patreon, you're out there, just hit me up, let me know which filter you want. Privately DM me on Patreon and I will send you one of these. Stay tuned for the end of this video because there is another giveaway as well. Oh, I think this is the first box that I've actually opened this well. Wow, this is a rugged pack over here. Now this is new. This is new packaging. I've never seen this before from Freewell. Voila, nice. So you got 4 up here and 4 down here. Nice, really nice. 4 and 4 is 8. If you're having a lot of glare and it's damaging your image, just rotate this, get the right settings for this, and you can cut the glare while you're flying. This here is what I'm most interested in because the glare doesn't really bother me that much, but I like to use typical ND filters, and these glass look nice. Sun is blown out right there, so it's pretty strong outside, and we're going to need a pretty strong filter. We're gonna go with the ND 64, and I'll show you why. Put your 2 fingers in the center, press down and twist, and the glass will come right off. Always clean your glass first, because what's the point of using a filtration system that has dirty glass? Position it at an angle and you twist to lock it in place. That's it. Give it one more wipe and don't let your fingers touch. You see all of this red around me? Basically that red around me says I am in focus. If you look at the background, look at the cars on the street and stuff, what do you notice? Well, they are very blurry. And the only way to achieve that on a bright sunny day like this is to use ND filters. Typically, a drone is flying high up in the sky and it's very hard to notice unless you're looking at a big screen TV and you're doing client work, and you really need to be on point because, well, you're selling your imagery. But if you're just having fun on Facebook and stuff like that, yeah, you can get away without a filter. You're just sharing to YouTube or whatever, yeah, you can get away with the filter. But if you own a drone, in particular a drone like this, like a Mavic 3 Classic, means you probably do intend to do some kind of professional work sometime down the road. So the earlier you learn about this ND stuff, the earlier you can practice. So when you do get that client work, you know exactly what to do, as opposed to getting the client work and then scuffling to figure this stuff out or having to hire someone else to do the job, even though you've got the right tools. And that's why drones come with a tool called manual focus. Now look, I'm out of focus and the background is in focus. You can do all of this stuff by holding down the focus button and then scrolling between the different focus points. If I want the background or the foreground, which is me, switching back to background, back to foreground, and then to background. Well, here's the catch. Let's focus on me. You can only do this if your aperture is set to f2.8. See, my aperture is at 2.8. If you set your aperture to a higher number, like 5.8 or 5.6, then yeah, you can do that to darken the image to avoid using an ND filter. But what you're also doing is putting everything in focus, because when you let less light into the camera by closing that aperture, by giving it a higher number, f5 or f6 or f5.6. By closing that and letting less light in, you're creating less separation between you and the background, and thus getting shots like this is very difficult. Yes, you do get the darker image, so you won't need the ND. It's getting darker now because I have an ND on, but if you look at the cars in the background, the traffic on the street, they're all red. You're not going to be able to get that separation. Now you're probably thinking, oh, I'm just getting drone shots, I don't need much separation. But what happens if you're filming a person walking? Well, let's try it out. So I'll put my aperture back to f2.8 so I can create some background separation. So my shutter is at 1/60, and that's because I'm shooting at 30 frames a second. Now when you're shooting at 30 frames a second, especially with an ND filter on, you want to be at double your frame rate. So my frame rate is 30 FPS, so my shutter should be 60. So we've got the camera set up all right. Let's see what type of shots we can get. Let me just make it real blurry. I got my eyes, there you go. That's the perfect focus that I should be. Now I'm walking, this is a drone shot, look at this. Quality, I mean, look at this. Talk about me being in focus, it's insane. I'm walking and talking to you right now, and this drone will avoid obstacles. Would be nice for DJI to put manual focus on a separate buttons configuration, so you can adjust your focus using probably the zoom wheel or something. That would be nice, so you can pull focus while you fly in case you want to do technical shots, right? Obviously this aperture only tops out at 2.8. If the aperture went to something like 1.8 or 1.9, then you would get even more background separation. But right now the focus is on me. I'm the guy walking, and the other stuff in the background is just not important, so I want you to focus on me. Now this is only one reason for using ND filters. Let's go try out some more reasons, because this application, as cool as it is, it's not very common, right? But it certainly does beat having a cameraman and a camera crew on wheels set up following me and keeping me in focus. This is definitely one alternative that can be used for some type of low budget commercial, I would say, at least for the internet. All right, let's head back to the car. We'll talk about it some more. One of the reasons why I like the Mavic 3 or the Mavic 3 Classic is because of the avoidance system. The avoidance system is just that good that you can fly sideways and not have to worry about hitting trees and branches, and you can focus on focusing on that person and keeping that drone as steady as possible and as smooth as possible, so you can nail that shot, whether it's a person walking, a bike moving, a person on a bicycle, or anything, I would say pretty much slow to moderately moving. So these side sensors are huge that they work. And the other big thing that's credited to the Mavic 3 is the bigger sensor. Not only is it good for low light filming, but bigger sensors make it easier for you to get background separation. So obviously aperture does play a huge factor. So if you're flying something like the Mini 3 that has an insanely fast aperture but not as big a sensor as this, you'll probably get the same amount of background separation. You just have to be careful when you're flying sideways. So yeah, this combination of sensor size and sideways obstacle avoidance makes this a great tool. So now I'm going to take off the ND64 because I don't think I need such a strong filter. I'm going to go with something like an ND32, and the reason being is because I don't need the f2.8. Now I'm not following myself, I'm not following anyone else, so I don't need that background separation, and as a result I don't need an f2.8. I can come to an f5.6. So it's always good to have a variety of filters, so that way when you switch between applications you can have options in your life. Everybody's got to have options in your life, right? You want options in your life? Well, this Freewell pack has got options for you. All right, let's go up and do some more applications. We're not going to use manual focus, we're just going to use autofocus because at f4, which the camera has selected right now, it pretty much puts everything in focus. Got the ND32 on and my EV is -7. Now I'm gonna go in cinematic mode and I'm just going to fly. Now we're just going to take off the ND32 filter. Going to put on the regular UV filter that the Mavic 3 comes with, the regular glass with the H on it, the Hasselblad. And we're going to fly and check out the differences. Now, if you're wondering why am I flying close to the ground, that's because, well, that's the easiest way to see the motion blurs, to fly close to the ground. So let's get this filter on. Yep, UV filter on, clean that up. And let's get the Mavic back up and out again. Let's compare the imagery. If I'm going to maintain this double the frame rate, which is 4K 30, double my frame rate is going to be 1/60 to get that smooth cinematic look. 1/60 is just, it's not doing it, right? The image is overexposed. Even with the aperture as small and as tiny as can be at f11. My aperture is at f11, guys, and there's just too much light that not even the aperture can shut it down low enough. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my aperture around f5.6, see how super bright it is. And the only way I can get away with this is to allow the shutter to go past and break the double the frame rate rule. So I just went from 1/60, which is supposed to be the cinematic look, to 1/800. And we're just gonna hit record and just try to fly the same flight and see what's the difference. You're probably wondering, well, why am I flying so low to test out the ND filters? Why don't I just fly high? And well, that's because ND filters are to give you that motion blur, and motion blur is very hard to get when you're flying high. Okay, so looking at the footage now in the studio, you can see motion blur. When I pause it, you look here at the corners, that's blur, that's motion blur. Over here, it's a sharp image because the shutter was going very fast, so the image is not blurry at all. And you might think, well, what's the point in this motion blur? Well, this is what our eyes are accustomed to seeing and viewing, so it just looks natural to the human eye. This does look good, it looks crisp and sharp as well, but it's just not what we're accustomed to. So if you were looking at a movie or something on television, it just wouldn't seem natural. Again, look at the bottom here, you can actually see the blur. Again, if we were to hit pause, you can see the blur here all around in the corners, very heavy over here. Here's just sharp, the whole image is sharp. This is great for photography, but for motion pictures, our eyes are just used to this. So if you're watching this on a movie, it just would seem very unnatural. You wouldn't know why, but you would just know that doesn't look right. So that's what the ND32 filter really delivers. So when you're flying high, typically you really don't need ND filters that much. So there you go, you have some reasons why to use ND filters like this on your Mavic 3 drone and all your drones, as a matter of fact, especially if you do plan to get work. It's a good habit that every time you fly and there's daylight, you want to put on a ND filters. Let me know if you want a separate video for the PL filters. I can do a video showing you reasons why you would need a PL filter. Just be vocal in the comment section so I know what you guys want. And this cool pack of filters here is going to one of my patrons. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy new year to you. If you are a patron and you have a Mavic 3 Classic, just reach out to me and I will send these to you free of charge. Yes, first Patreon to message me. When you open your Patreon app and you go to message me, just how you direct message me all the time asking me questions, just tell me, hey, I want the Mavic 3 Classic filters, I own a Mavic 3 Classic, and I'll send these straight to you. I hope this video was helpful. I hope that you did get some value for this and you do start practicing and flying with ND filters all the time. Thanks for Freewell for sending me these filters so I can make this demo video for you guys. It may seem rare, it may seem like you're not going to be doing a lot of these shots all the time, but if you do plan to do client work and you do have a very useful tool like this, which has great sensing capability, a very big sensor that can give you a lot of other shots that these typical drones cannot, and you do plan to make money with it, then I highly recommend you get yourself some ND filters. And whether you're flying low or whether you're trying to do background separation, just get in the habit of filming with ND filters, because you never know what your client will ask for, and clients typically will be looking for things than just out of the ordinary, that they can buy a drone, throw it up themselves, put everything in auto, and just hit record. So I hope this video brought you some value. Make sure you give this video a huge thumbs up. Let me know if you want me to make more videos about ND filters and showing you how to use them in specific use cases. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when I release more videos like this, and I will catch you guys, well, in DaVinci Resolve or whenever I can. Make sure you become a Patreon, guys. Big benefits to Patreon. Get direct access to me. Any questions? I'm right here on Patreon. Support this channel, and there's benefits. Last Mini 2 went all the way to the UK.